We're going to start off with a segment we like to call Top 5 Must Watch Games of the Week. It is week 10 in the NFL. I can't believe that we are already this deep into the season. I actually get a little sad the closer we get to it because it's like, man, in about 2 months, I'm gonna have to watch. In about 2.5 months, I'm gonna have to watch nothing but the NBA. And I understand this show is also on a network that does mainly NBA content, and we appreciate y'all. And we will have a lot of NBA content more and more through the season. But y'all know how I personally feel about the NBA regular season. Even though 3 weeks in, I've been entertained. But 10 when week 10, a lot of things going on. I'm not gonna lie to y'all. This is a very rough schedule, and it took me a long time to find 5 games that I could actually put on this list. So we're going to start with my sneaky good game, which I do every week. It's Commanders at Seahawks. Commanders coming off a win last week. Seahawks got beat by the Baltimore Ravens. They need to get back into it. My personal opinion on this game is the reason I say this is something that could be sneaky good is because this is an interesting position that the Seattle Seahawks in. Just a week or two ago, you had me. I said that they're a sneaky contender in the NFC. They got destroyed by the Baltimore Ravens last week, and it kind of brought them down to earth a little bit. So now this is kind of like one of those games, like which path are you going to go? Are you going to say, oh, we just got beat up, just got beat up by a better team, or we're still just a team that's going to be able to take advantage of this opportunity and still put ourselves as one of the top contenders in the NFC. The Commanders are in a position too after trading 2 of their best defenders. Won last week. Can they right the ship somehow this week? That's going to be an interesting game. Bane, what do you got to say about this game?
That there's nothing to talk about the Washington Commanders about. That shit's a wrap. The new ownership can't wait to destroy and rebuild this team. So basically, we are looking at a shit show, and that's really about it, man. I mean, I think they were not going to pay those 2 guys. So that's why they're gone. And thank you for Montez. Don't call me Keith Sweat. And I'm interested to see what Chase Young does in San Francisco. But it's really time to implode, as you was talking about with the Bulls. This is the same thing that's going to happen here. So I think that, Magic Johnson and company are feeling like some other fans on some other teams. Let's be terrible and see where we can pick.
Courtney, what you think about this particular matchup?
That it's honestly forgettable. Now that Washington, well, yeah, like now that Washington traded away 2 of their best defensive players, I mean, you don't really have anyone to really watch for on that side of the ball anymore. Like, I'm not interested in watching the rest of that Commanders defense. What's the point? Also, Geno Smith has had like 8 turnovers in the past 4 games, 6 interceptions, 2 lost fumbles, and I know that their offensive woes, stem, a lot more. It's a lot deeper than that, I should say. And it's not all his fault, but I'm not interested in watching this mid-off. I'm good.
Dante, what do you think about this?
Yeah, no, I share the same sentiments. I think, when you look at the Commanders and that new ownership group, like we said, like we've seen with the Bears, when they didn't draft you, when they didn't bring you in, there's not a lot of loyalty to players. So, when we saw they didn't pay Sweat or Chase Young, I think you're going to really see them try to go through a rebuild and get the team that they want to put together. So this game, I don't know how you say it's going to be sneaky good, but I mean,
hey, I'm doing my best, people. I'm doing my best.
I will say, I do like the Seahawks, but when you trade 2 of your best defensive players, I mean, you're not trying to really do anything. So we'll see, though. We'll see.
In the words of one of the fallen MCs of the 90s, Mr. Shock G, I'm trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. That's pretty much what I was doing with the schedule. So bear with me. A lot of these games,
mental health matters.
Mental health matters, people. Never
Don't you forget it.
Don't make a joke out of it, people.
Not a joke.
Mental health matters. We are being very serious.
We're being very serious. We got to make sure. Look, sometimes when you watch these games, it messes with, your Sunday. We especially when the Bears ain't playing, what the good or bad, we know we got them. But hey, Courtney, you know this. Sometimes you watch a game and you tend to watch this game to take your mind off of things. That ain't the game to watch to take your mind off of anything
And that's
unless
exactly why I went to bed last night and did not
see
watch that snooze fest.
And for our fellow co-host, Mikey is not here, who tried to reprimand me and my brother for talking about Loki last night. It's because I am respecting my mental health, and I decided, I'm gonna have a fucking Marvel day in the middle of this bullshit that I call my football team. So I watched Loki, and I missed a good half of that game. You know what? I enjoyed my Thursday evening. So
and you know what that's called, Scott?
What's that? It's called growth. Growth. That's what that shit is, man. So make sure you're having that. Now, this next game is actually a fake decent game. Now, if you're a Chicago, somebody who's born in Chicago, from Chicago, spending time in Chicago, this fake decent basically means it's good. It could also be bad at the same time. I've got Lions Chargers here in Los Angeles, SoFi Stadium. This one I think is going to be a good game because of just how good the Lions have been. They're getting Dave Montgomery back this week, which is good for their running game. The reason why I say it might also not be good is because we just know how anemic the Chargers offense can be. We know how bad it looked this Monday against the Jets. Now, granted, Jets have one of the best defenses in football, but it looks really bad. Even as bad as the Bears look, that offense didn't look that good against the Bears either. So now you're going up against a defensive line with Aiden Hutchinson and everything they're doing that could solve some problems for the Chargers, but they're at home. Granted, there's no home field advantage, and I actually have to give some love to Detroit Lions fans. They have low-key been traveling their ass off this season, so I expect a large contingency of Detroit fans in there. It's going to be a lot of niggas who probably snuck from Coney Island on the flight. A lot of niggas with buffs on in that crowd. But this is going to be, I think, a fake decent game. I do think the Lions are going to win this week, but I think this is going to be a little close. Courtney, what you think about this game?
Yeah, I know I said that the Chargers were going to lose last week, and I was obviously very wrong. But we can get into the nuances of all that another time. I do think that the Lions are going to win this game. I think it's going to be a close game. I'd like to see Quentin Johnson kind of keep the momentum moving forward. That would be nice to see. But yeah, I really this is also another one of those games that that doesn't really move the needle for me. I think until Brandon Staley gets fired, I really don't feel too confident about Justin Herbert and the trajectory of his career. Would be interesting though, because I know that Brandon Staley used to be Jared Goff's quarterback coach, right, with the Rams before he got traded, and then he went.
Well, I know Brandon Staley was defensive line coach for the Bears in 2018.
Yeah, so I think he was his quarterback coach. So that'll be an interesting thing to keep in mind moving forward into Sunday. See what he can kind of get off Goff Oz.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was wild.
I do think that the Lions are going to win this game. I know they said. I think I read some crazy stat. They haven't won a game in the Pacific time zone in like 10 years or something, which is wild.
Considering it's the Detroit Lions, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so I think they're going to get that win this Sunday. So stay tuned.
Dante, what you think about our Midwest brothers over there in Michigan?
I think it'll be a good game. I think it'll be an even better game if I sell this ticket,
I was about to say, yeah. Holla at this nigga for all your Charger tickets.
All my Charger needs, as usual. And like I said, 200 level, very good seats, great seats. But I think it's gonna be a really good game. And I do think the Lions are gonna win it. I think it's gonna be a close game. Probably Lions by 6, Lions by 2 field goals. But I think that's another team that, you speak about their drought on the Pacific time zone. This year has really been turning the tide and showing that it's a new Detroit Tigers really franchise, so shout out to them for finally being able to turn it around. So I think they'll keep their good season going and they'll get a dub.
Now, Bane, we know you've been trademarked saying all year nobody give a fuck about the damn Lions, man. What you think about this game?
They don't. But I do think the Detroit Lions are going to win this game. I think they have to win this game. Let me say that this is a must win for the Detroit Lions simply because what happened to them with the Baltimore Ravens. They can't come out and shit the bed on this one. They have to go in and they have to take control of this game, and they got to walk out of here with a win. And I think it's gonna happen, mainly because I don't trust the Chargers coach. But I do believe that Justin Herbert is going to have a good day. It's gonna be good seeing Jared Goff versus Justin Herbert too. We still kind of don't put Jared Goff, in the conversation of one of the better quarterbacks. I know they was talking possibly MVP, but once they got their ass whooped by the Ravens, it was like, oh yeah, we tweaked. So are we gonna tweak again? We're gonna find out on Sunday. I love this matchup.
Yeah, man, let's go to my number 3 must-watch game of the weekend. This could have been a sneaky good game too, but I think this is going to be a legitimately good game. It's going to be the Cincinnati Bengals taking on young C.J. Stroud and the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans are surprisingly 4-4 right now. Cincinnati Bengals, one of 3 teams in the AFC North that are 5-3. They're really starting to catch on. Joe Burrow was doing his thing last week, starting to look better. Like he said in his post-game interview, I can move now, which helps a lot. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins were both limited in practice this week, but Jamar Chase is scheduled to play. I think T. Higgins was listed as questionable, so that's something to pay attention to. My personal opinion on this one, I do think the Bengals are going to win, but I think this is going to be a game that's going to be very close to the end. I think it's going to be one of these things that potentially we can have one of these AFC quarterback battles between CJ Stroud and Joe Burrow. You all know Joe Burrow, in my opinion. Not the consensus opinion across people who watch the NFL. He's the second best quarterback in the NFL. And I think this is something where if you're the Texans, nobody expecting you to win this game, especially with as hot as Cincinnati's been playing. They can come out here, sneak and win. But I think it's going to be real competitive. Dante, what you think about this matchup? You were on mute, my brother. This happens at least once a week on somebody on the show.
Yeah. It's gonna happen, but no, I think it's gonna be a good game. It's gonna be a really good game. Like I said, we've loved everything we've seen from CJ Stroud so far this season, and I do think he'll have a strong game. But at the end of the day, Joe Burrow was really finding his rhythm and reminding you who he is. So I think that that Bengals offense will continue to get better, continue to perform better, and I think they'll get another W, get their 6th win of the year.
Bang, what you think about this one?
This one right here is this is the sneaky good one. Mm-hmm. Because I don't think, even though CJ Stroud had an amazing game last week, breaking rookie records, they're going against a team that, even though they started off slow, people see them as a Super Bowl contender. This is now CJ Stroud's first game where it's like him going up against another top-notch quarterback, and there's expectations. The Texans have been better than what we thought they were going to be. So now, when the world is watching, because after that performance, they're watching, how do the Texans do? I think this is a sneaky matchup. I think the Bengals can be had. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and predict the upset. I think the Texans are going to defeat the Cincinnati Bengals.
Courtney, what you think about this matchup?
I don't completely disagree with Bang there. I think if it's going to happen, excuse me, to the Bengals right now, in terms of, I know they're kind of people, it's funny, the recency bias that the media has, right? Like when a team does really, really well one week, and I understand the body of work is a lot smaller, but like you don't see this a whole lot in other sports, right? Like a team wins one game and then the next week, all you're doing is talking about, wow, the Bengals look like the team to beat right now. Well, if the Bengals are going to get beat right now, then now's the week to do it without, the sort of, especially if Jamar Chase does end up kind of getting, I know it's his back, right? It is messed up. And then not having T. Higgins and also having to rely on, Tyler Boyd. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen this weekend. I don't know how I feel about CJ Stroud going into Cincinnati to try to get this win, but like I can smell the upset potential there. Yeah, I'm gonna call it upset alert. 24-21 Texans.
That's why it's gonna be a good game. I'm really looking forward to that one. My number 2 game on this list, I think it's actually gonna be a legitimate game, no matter if it was a good slate this weekend. We've got the San Francisco 49ers, who quiet as kept, them niggas need to win. Them niggas need to win. They have not looked good the last 2 games. Brock Purdy has come down to earth tremendously. They will be going up against a team who's been sneaky good probably last month of the season. That is the Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence and all those boys out there. I'm pretty sure. I think this game is in Duval, so they're gonna be on the road. Niners fans travel either way, but this is gonna be a good game. This one I feel like is, we brought up with the Lions need to win after the way they played the last couple weeks. The Seahawks need a win after the way they played last week. The Niners need a fucking win. They lose this game, especially to a team like Jacksonville, and if Brock Purdy continues to play play bad, it's going to be some conversations being had right now towards the end of the season, especially with the way Philadelphia, even though Philadelphia hasn't been great, they've still been winning games and kind of doing a veteran thing where it's like, yeah, it's not pretty, but we're winning. I feel like both the Chiefs and the Eagles been doing that all year. Can the Niners do the same thing? We want to see that. I'm going with Jacksonville in this game. Jacksonville's been playing real well. I think that the Niners are vulnerable, and I think that Brock Purdy has come back to earth. Like I said 2 weeks ago, I'm not blaming Brock Purdy. He just is who he is, and I don't feel like I feel like he's a good quarterback, but he's not a quarterback that you win because of. So I'm going to go with the Jaguars in this game. Dante, what do you think about this game right here?
This will be a really good one. I think this is a good test for Trevor Lawrence. We talk about Trevor Lawrence a lot. He's been up and down, and he doesn't really get the criticism that other young quarterbacks get. We haven't seen that as often, but I think this is one of those games that can be really like a good barometer test to see how he stacks up against one of the best defenses in the league. So I'm looking forward to this game. I'll probably try to watch, all 4 quarters of this one, and I got the Jaguars. I got the Jaguars by a field goal. I think, Brock Purdy is Brock Purdy. We've talked about this for a while. When you have a great offensive mind, you have weapons around you. All he had to do was execute. But we see, Trent Williams went down. That's, been another issue. He hasn't had the same protection he had in the beginning of the year. So that's, when a quarterback doesn't have that protection, then the reality starts to set in. So we've seen him come down to earth. So I got the Jaguars by a field goal.
Bang, the Jaguars were your AFC Super Bowl representative. So are you with us on the Jaguar chain here?
Yes, I am. This is one of those other coming out parties. I think that the Jacksonville Jaguars have been one of the better teams in the NFL this season, but they need that signature win. This is that. Go Jags. Duval. I think that's what they say.
Yes, that's what they say. We gotta ask my man Amp to come on here one day to talk about that. But Courtney, are we going with a clean sweep with the Jaguars?
I don't know. Like you said, the pressure is kind of on the Niners to not continue to hit the skid in the road that they're on right now. They're getting Deebo Samuel back. They also, now this is the first weekend that we're going to get to see that Chase Young, Nick Bosa combo. And now listen, I know Nick Bosa has not been the Nick Bosa that he's, been normally the past few seasons. But I do think that between those different factors, again, Deebo Samuel coming back and being at full strength with having Christian McCaffrey, I don't think the Jags are prepared to answer that call quite yet. I do still believe in the Jags, but I think they take an L this week. I think it's going to be close. I think they take an L this week.
I completely forgot that Chase Young was making his debut. That's going to be good. I just really want to see what that offense is going to do. In about 2 minutes, we're going to bring Cousin Dan in. He's in the room. We're going to see what he got to talk about this week. But we're going to end this off with my number 1 game of the week. It is an AFC North division matchup, man. We've got Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, who are 7-2, looking to be 8-2 on the campaign, going against Freaky Sean and them Cleveland Browns. They are tied right now for second in the division with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So a win here would do them wonders. I think this is going to be a close game just because it's a division game. I think it'll be close towards the end, and I think that the Cleveland Browns have probably the best defense in football, if not top 2. So I think if anything, they'll be able to take Lamar Jackson out of a rhythm a little bit. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to who has a better quarterback. And in this situation, it's Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is the better quarterback. I have not been impressed by Deshaun all season. I feel like that this team is winning in spite of him. Last week was probably his best game. But I don't think that is going to fly against this good Baltimore Ravens defense. So I think it'll be a close game throughout, but I think that the Ravens will pull away during the end. So I'm gonna say Ravens by 10. I think there'll be a key turnover from Freaky Sean towards the end of that, and I think that the Ravens will win this one and move to 8-2. Courtney, what you think about this game?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you right now. First off, you know my thoughts about that man that plays in Cleveland. So yeah, I'll never honestly get behind the Browns, and I'm especially not delusional enough to think that he is going to carry them. So yeah, I got the Ravens handedly. Honestly, I like 10 to 14 points.
Dante, what you think about this game?
I mean, years ago, I would get excited for a matchup of Lamar versus number 4 over there. But I think the Ravens are going to win by at least 10 points. I think the Ravens are really rolling. And I think, like I said, they're my Super Bowl pick. So I think they're going to continue their dominance. And I think you'll see them win this game easily. I won't say easily, but I think it'll never be a point where they trail. Like, they'll be up by 3, and then by the end, they'll win by 10.
Bang, you coined the term Freaky Sean, which I'll be using till the end of eternity. What do you have for us in this game?
Hey, man, I don't trust Freaky Sean no more. On the field. I don't trust him on the field. All right, I know.
You shouldn't trust him off that motherfucker either.
You shouldn't trust him off of it. But, you know, I wanted to make sure that I take the difference. But because of that, yeah, man, the Ravens smell blood. If the Browns win this game, it's going to be because they have one of the best, if not the best, defenses in the NFL. So Myles Garrett and company are going to have to show up. And I'm not saying that it's not going to happen. I think they're going to show up. I just don't think they're going to win because they bought a lemon. All right. And I understand that the man ain't played like football in quite some time, and this is his first year. But I look at Michael Vick, man, and I look at other quarterbacks who did not play for a certain amount of time, and then they come back, they never the same. So I think that, you know, Freaky Sean being Freaky Sean is going to cheat him on the greatness that he could have. Because this team, the Cleveland Browns, should be the best team in the NFL with one of the best quarterbacks if Freaky Sean was like he was in Texas with the Houston Texans.
Paper on these player haters